Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of the most unique franchises to ever grace this earth. It is truly a multi-generational thing. Every generation since its inception has had their version of the Turtles, whether it was in comics or TV or in movies. Everybody has their first entry point into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's something incredibly special and something I can't say for any other franchise that I cover. And on top of that, one of the coolest parts about Ninja Turtles is the way that it reinvents itself year after year, comes up with something new every few years to spark that imagination once again. But if you're like me and want to watch every Ninja Turtles show and every Ninja Turtles movie and figure out what goes with which and which is with which continuity group and what goes together and what the correct episode orders are, because for most of these they weren't aired in the correct order, that is what today's video is for. How to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's morphin' time! Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my viewing guide on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We are going to be talking about movies and shows. Specifically, we're not going to talk about comics. That could be its entire own video, and let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. I definitely could try to do that. There's been a lot of Ninja Turtles comics. But there is a lot to cover on this topic. If you haven't seen other watch guides I've done on this channel, I did a whole playlist of them. I'm keeping this up as an ongoing series, and I usually try to tie it in with new media, so that way we have like a little bit of a schedule going on. I did miss by a week due to some in-person real-life stuff. The premiere of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was last week, and this video came out 1 week later, but in the future that information does not matter. I just wanted to point that out. But let's get into it. We're going to talk about every Ninja Turtles movie and show from 1987 to the present day. And I will be also including the actual proper episode orders for each season based on their production codes from information that I found online from multiple sources. And if you want to look through the overall guide and go through all the episodes yourself and want the spreadsheet, as opposed to just pausing the video, you can check out the link below. I'm going to provide that document because I think it's very important, since a lot of these shows are super mixed up on their official disc and streaming releases. But on that note, please hit the like button so this video gets out to more people. Please share it around anyone that's wanting to get into Ninja Turtles. And please hit subscribe and the notification bell to help the channel grow and continue to produce more videos like this. So let's begin our look at every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV show and movie with 1987's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So 1987's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is an animated series produced by Fred Wolf Films based on the Mirage Comics property Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though a lot of liberties and changes were made that affected future adaptations of these characters. There is actually a good video in there somewhere of comparing how the comic was to the original show. They have a lot of differences, but some similarities you might be surprised. That being said, let's talk about the original 1987 Ninja Turtles. It's kind of a show that almost needs no introduction because a lot of licensed merchandise still use these character designs, despite the fact that parent company of Ninja Turtles currently, Nickelodeon, didn't have any rights to the show until just recently. This show is one of the longest running pieces of Turtles media, so let's break it down. So the concept was untested, so in 1987 there was a 5-episode miniseries to see if it would be popular enough to get a full TV series. This has retroactively become Season 1, and all 5 episodes string together in sort of a serialized plot. This is really more of a 5-parter than 5 individual episodes, and it's actually some of my favorite Turtles media we've ever seen. The series was successful, so in 1988, Season 2 lasted for 13 episodes, building upon what was done. Definitely more of an episodic season and starts to get into the formula we'd start to see for the rest of the series. But it was proving that Turtles was a major hit, and this was running in syndication for pretty good ratings. So in 1989, Season 3 lasted for 47 episodes. This thing was running in syndication and doing pretty hot, so they kept pumping out episodes, and there is quite a few. I won't say all of them are winners. It's not a consistent season because there's just so many episodes to fill. But there's a lot of things in here, and the formula is going to start taking shape and kind of make the way that the Turtles series is supposed to go. There's also a lot of air date versus production date discrepancies from this season onward. It's just really hard to tell what is really supposed to be the proper order. I go by production orders in my little guides here because that just makes the most sense to me. In 1990, Season 4, lasting for 39 episodes, continued the series. Something interesting about this show is while it's not very serialized and there's not a lot of ongoing plots, the Technodrome moves locations from season to season. So we actually kind of have like a little bit of serialization between seasons as the Technodrome moves different places. And I think that's kind of neat. It kind of gives the show some momentum and not just be super static, because the villains are moving from location to location. So major episodes will affect things going forward, which I think is pretty awesome. 1991, season 5, lasting for 21 episodes. Kind of more of the same, continuing the important journey that these characters are going on, and that is the journey of making stupid amounts of money in toys. I gotta tell you guys, Turtle Mania, do you think it's crazy now how much Ninja Turtles toys sell? Back then it was nuts. Now, 1992 is kind of interesting. There was a side season known as The Vacation in Europe. This was 13 episodes. I believe these were broadcast in Europe first and then broadcast in the US later. I believe in 92 they were broadcast in Europe, and then they broadcast in the US during season 7. So the season 7 DVDs typically contain the Vacation in Europe side season. And even though it came out after season 5's US airing, it actually takes place during season 4 between episodes 1 and 2. I know that sounds confusing, but they essentially just go on a European vacation for 13 episodes, and it happened to be between season 4, episode 1 and 2, because the Technodrome placement. That's kind of our only continuity thing. Also in 1992, season 6, lasting for 16 episodes. Once again, just kind of continuing things, nothing major, no crazy shakeups going on here. 1993, season 7, lasting 14 episodes. This would be the last kind of regular season of the show. After this season, the live-action movies had come out, and they decided to start retooling the show a little bit, making it a little less goofy and a little bit darker, starting with the next season. So in 1994, season 8, lasting 8 episodes, begins the seasons known as the Red Sky seasons, because the sky is suddenly red. An art style change, a change in direction, a little bit darker of storylines and storytelling, plus the theme song has been changed to be a little bit more like serious, and they added in some clips from the live action movies. It's still fun and light, but compared to the earlier 7 seasons, these last 3 are a lot more serious than the more comedic stuff that was going on in the previous part of the show. 1995, season 9 was also 8 episodes, and that was continuing the storylines from season 8. Season 9 is another turning point as well in terms of major story, but I won't go into that for the sake of spoilers. And then one last season in 1996, season 10, lasting 8 episodes, wrapped out this very long-running show. It ran a solid 9.5 years for a total of 10 seasons, and 11 if you include the Vacation in Europe side season as a separate season. A ton of episodes, a ton of adventures, a ton of stories. If you want the origins of Turtles in adapted media, this is the show to go to. Though personal recommendation-wise, if you're not kind of digging things after the first season, maybe jump to season 8. I really do love those last 3 seasons, and the first 2 especially. It's seasons 3 through 7 that are a little shakier for me. But honestly, this show is kind of an adventure to go through. If you are looking to watch it, there is a complete series DVD set, which I do recommend picking up over the volumes. Though note that the episodes are out of order on the DVD set, but my document in the description down below will give you a guide as to what order to watch them in according to the discs in that set or the original volumes. The series also started streaming on Paramount Plus, where the episodes are in air date order, which is not too bad, honestly, but they've only put up 3 of the 10 seasons so far. Now, following the success of the animated series, the next step for the Ninja Turtles was to jump to the live-action films. And that began with 1990's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was actually one of the highest budgeted and most successful indie films of all time, because at the time making the movie, there was no distributor for the film. Eventually, New Line Cinema would pick it up, but nobody wanted to have a Ninja Turtles movie, despite the success of the toy line and the cartoon for Ninja Turtles. That being said, this movie takes a bit of a darker approach. While they could have gone for the zanier elements and made it full comedy like the original animated series was, they went closer in tone to the original Mirage comics and following some of the early issues pretty dang close. This is a favorite of mine. One of the things that made this movie stand out and make it so unique was the use of the Jim Henson Creature Shop in order to create the Ninja Turtles and Splinter. It really brought them to life as full puppeted prosthetic animatronic heads and costumes, as opposed to something more digital or animated. And I think it just gives them such reality and groundedness that really works with the grittier storyline that's being told. It's really cool looking at this movie because at the time, it just defies what the cartoon was doing and there wasn't much synergy going on. And I think that's really cool because it kind of took like a, oh hey, if you loved reading the comics but didn't like how goofy the cartoon is, this is the movie for you. And also for that, I think it stood the test of time pretty well. Now, this movie was a big success. It was a breakout hit and defied all expectations, and in 1991 received a sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, where they kind of went and added in some of the goofier elements, took a lot of the violence out, took out the cursing, and brought it down somewhere where it's still, I think, a little bit more mature than the cartoon was, but it's definitely not as dark as the first film was, which probably was a good plan overall box office-wise, but it kind of is a bummer as a fan going from one to the other. Though, for many people, especially those who were kids growing up in the era, Secret of the Ooze stands out as the more enjoyable film. Definitely has a lot more of the what we would expect to be Ninja Turtles elements. There's villains that are mutants, there's kind of the crazier, zanier stuff going on, and I enjoy it as well. I certainly prefer the first movie, but the sequel's not anything bad. I actually think it kind of continues the story forward and puts them in a bit of a lighter space, which I think also works in its own ways. Now, of course, this was successful, so in 1993, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, also known as Turtles in Time, was released. This movie is not as well loved by the fandom. Personally, it's my least favorite of the three, but it saw the Turtles going and traveling back in time to ancient Japan. This movie, I feel like, has aged the worst out of all of them for some of the jokes that are made in the film, as well as the overall creature effects for the Turtles not being, I believe they weren't the Jim Henson Company anymore, and so the quality is definitely lacking. But it did continue from some of the plot points in Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, and sort of completed this trilogy. If you're looking to watch any of these three movies, they're available on Blu-ray, DVD, and they're streaming on Paramount+. They're pretty easy to find. Now, what's interesting is the success of these movies has led to two possible continuations. And what I mean is that there's two things that seemingly want to be sequels to Ninja Turtles 3, but aren't in correlation with each other, so they kind of conflict. But let's start with the first one that came out. 1997's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, produced by Soundout Productions, who was running the Fox Kids network at that point, and was also producing Power Rangers, amongst other classic shows. They had their own live-action Ninja Turtles series lasting for 26 episodes. It filmed in Canada. You can actually see some of the Canadian voice actors that you know from other shows like Beast Wars or Digimon even, and they're playing like live action roles, which is kind of fun. But this series sort of sees itself as a continuation of the movies. The Turtles are in a subway car layer, as we saw at the end of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was where they got the subway layer, and so 3 also had that. Kind of seems like that, but there's some continuity gaps with like what's going on with Shredder. It's a little bit weird, but it sort of is supposed to be positioning itself as a sequel to the movies, though again, it doesn't fit 100% correctly. It also saw the introduction of a fifth turtle in the form of Venus de Milo, which is one of the weirdest things they did, not because of the addition of a female turtle, that's not so weird, but the fact that they did some weird things where they made her their sister, but she wasn't. They're not all siblings, so then all 4 of the male turtles tried to date Venus, and it's weird. Also for the fact that like her name is actually Mei Pei Chin, and then they immediately rename her to Venus de Milo, and I don't exactly know why, because it's not like she was lacking in name like the 4 turtles were, and I think I'm thinking too much about the 1997 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action show that only lasted for 2 seasons. That being said, this series is a little bit harder to find than some of the other Ninja Turtle stuff, as it's not currently streaming anywhere, but it did have a DVD release from Shout Factory, which is one of the only Ninja Turtles DVD releases to be 100% in production order. So that's a positive. And that series itself is out of print, I believe, so it's a little bit harder to come by. Also, as a note, the Ninja Turtles from Next Mutation appear in the Power Rangers in Space episodes 3 and 4. Episode 3, they appear at the tail end leading into episode 4, which is a full-on crossover between the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles, which would not be the last time that would happen, as it would happen later in the comics, but was kind of a cool thing at the time. Saban was producing both. The funny part, though, is that most of the Turtle voice actors aren't the same because they shot Power Rangers in LA, whereas everything else for Turtles was shot in Canada. It's one of those weird things that kind of makes everything make your head spin. The other possible continuation that ignores Next Mutation is TMNT from 2007, an animated film that definitely is supposed to be in the continuity of the original 3 films. There's a lot of references, a lot of connections with the storylines, Completely different cast, of course, and things are it's sort of a semi-reboot and was supposed to get more sequels before unfortunate business things happened. But this film sort of worked as a possible continuation of those original 3 films as well. That movie was released on Blu-ray, DVD, and is streaming on Paramount+, so kind of easy to find that one as well. But yeah, that's kind of the live-action stuff of the 90s that sort of bled into the 2000s, and that sort of weird, like, there was a trilogy, and there's like 2 different ways it continues, but not all the continuity matches up even between the 3 films, let alone these other continuations. But we're just grouping them all together because that's probably the easiest way to do it. In 2003, Mirage Productions, as well as 4Kids Entertainment, teamed up together to produce Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is another reason why this guide is helpful, because there's like 4 different things that just say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the title with no subtitle, and it's hard to keep them apart sometimes. Anyways, the 2003 Ninja Turtles series was an adaptation of the original Mirage comics, hence why Mirage Productions was so directly involved, and actually adapts several issues of that comic almost directly, to the point where the show got in trouble with the censors a few times, which is kind of fun. But the cool part about this series is it did have ongoing serialized storytelling, a more serious take while still having the goofy humor, and kind of had a nice balanced approach to what the movie was trying to do and what the original series was trying to do, and sort of landing somewhere in between. This series is really well beloved, though a lot of fans will degrade the quality of the later seasons as it kind of fell off over time. But that being said, this series is well known and well loved, but it's finally getting its spotlight after it being 20 years old. And that's kind of crazy because it's a series that a lot of people have loved for a long time. So in 2003, season 1 aired for 26 episodes. A lot of these episodes are actually in the proper order because of the serialization, and so actually having a guide for these isn't as super necessary, but it's still pretty helpful for some of the later episodes, especially when we get to season 3. Also in 2003, because 4Kids was just pumping things out on their network, season 2, which was 26 episodes, this aired from 2003 into 2004. This continued a lot of the storylines, building things up and coming up to a climactic season. A lot of these early episodes are directly lifted from Mirage issues, and it's really fun reading the original Mirage stuff and then watching the show. It's a really close adaptation, all things considered. In 2004, season 3, another 26 episode season, again expanding upon the show, just building upon it, introducing new characters, new storylines, and this show had a lot of multi-parters as well, which I think is really cool, and also helps keep the continuity tighter. You don't have to worry about air date orders if the people who are deciding what order the episodes go out in can go, oh, that's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. We need to put those out in order. And then in 2005, season 4, lasting 26 episodes, was the last normal season of the series. These first 4 seasons really do feel like one show before they start to try to retool it to get new viewership. And unfortunately, it wouldn't always go smoothly, and so this was kind of like the last normal season of the series. Now, confusingly, Season 5 aired in 2006 after Season 6, but Season 5 is known as the Ninja Tribunal. It's also known as the Lost Episodes, because they skipped over airing these and put them on Comcast On Demand network later instead, which is bizarre considering I believe that Season 4 leads right into Season 5. They were starting to screw around with the airing of the show, and it was kind of becoming a problem. And so a lot of the episodes in Season 5 are very important, but they sort of get skipped over in airing, and so a lot of people may have missed these episodes because of it. Season 6, airing in 2006, saw the Turtles jump to the future in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fast Forward. While yes, a new title, it is still Season 6 of the show. This lasted for 26 episodes and saw the Turtles in a futuristic setting, seeing the future of the world that they were fighting to survive and protect. And it's kind of a neat idea, though a lot of people don't like this season too much. But in 2008, the Turtles went back to the sewer with Season 7, known as Back to the Sewer. This 13-episode season would wrap up the series proper, having an art style shift and sort of finishing up some of the storylines, but leaving others to be kind of determined later. Also, during the airing of Season 7, there was this 13-short thing that became an episode called Mayhem on Mutant Island. It's weird because this wasn't included in any of the official releases, but it did come out online at the time, and they started airing them in between episodes. But these 13 shorts make up kind of like a 14th episode of Season 7. And then in 2009, as a conclusion to the 2003 Ninja Turtles series, the Turtles Forever TV movie was released. It featured a crossover primarily between the 2003 Ninja Turtles and the 1987 cartoon Turtles, but actually enveloped all of the Ninja Turtles multiverse. Unfortunately, there was a few production hiccups. They couldn't get the original cast from the 80s show due to union contracts, And on top of that, there's like 3 different versions of this thing running around. There's the regular edit, which came out on the single release DVD in the US. There's an extended cut, which was released in the US, I believe, online and on some networks, but was only released on DVD in the UK and Australia. And then there's a TV cut that's even shorter that was included on the 2003 box set, complete set. So go look for the extended cut online is probably the best way to find this. Now, if you're looking to watch the 2003 Ninja Turtles series, there is the complete series DVD set, which I did do a full video on to talk about, but that does not contain the regular or extended cuts of Turtles Forever, and it does not have Mayhem on Mutant Island. For everything else, Paramount Plus has the main 7 seasons, but no Mayhem on Mutant Island and no Turtles Forever. If you're looking for Mayhem on Mutant Island, that can be found on YouTube pretty easily. I looked it up. It's pretty simple to find, thanks to fans uploading it. So outside of Turtles Forever, it's pretty easy to find on streaming, but you can find these other 2 things pretty easily with a couple quick Google searches. Now, at the very end of the 2003 Ninja Turtles series, Nickelodeon purchased the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise from Peter Laird. And so, 3 years later, giving a nice little space and a gap, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out from Nickelodeon in 2012. We refer to this one as 2012. I really wish they'd start giving these things different names. But anyways, this series debuted on Nickelodeon, was a huge success, reinvigorated and re-brought the Turtles back to popularity once again, and actually bringing up to bigger heights that even the 2003 series had done before. So in 2012, Season 1 began airing for 26 episodes. The series would see a lot of standalone episodes mixed with multi-parters, going for character development over multiple events as opposed to serialized storytelling, but was pretty well beloved by a lot of fans. It took some getting used to with the new CG animation being the norm, since all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series had been 2D animation prior. But the 3D animation did look pretty nice, especially as the series progressed. Season 2 in 2013 also lasted 26 episodes, saw things go to greater heights. They started pushing the boundaries a little bit. The series got a little bit darker in places, it got a little lighter in others. The storylines would continue to progress and evolve and develop over the course of the series. In 2014, Season 3, lasting for 26 episodes, once again continuing a lot of these storylines and adapting some really cool serialization effects. There's a major event in Season 2 that leads to a string of standalone episodes in Season 3. And in 2015, Season 4, lasting another 26 episodes, saw the Turtles go to space, saw a different form of storytelling, and ending in a very climactic fashion that could almost be a series finale. And its final season, airing in 2017, Season 5, also known as Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, was 20 episodes. And what's interesting about this is that they went for an anthology-style series. There are a couple one-offs, but most of these are multi-parters. And what's interesting is they aired them in a completely different order than what's on the DVD, than what's on streaming, and that's where the guide comes in handy as to what was production-wise and what they intended to be the final one of these anthology stories. It was a pretty cool idea to kind of mix up the format a little bit. It was really neat. I just really enjoyed it. The other cool part about the 2012 series is that they had a couple different crossovers with the 87 Turtles that actually brought back the original cast, which was a nice sort of makeup for Turtles Forever not being able to include them. Now, if you're looking to watch this series, Paramount has done a complete series DVD set, as well as individual volumes there, and the entire series is streaming on Paramount Plus, with the first 2 seasons streaming on Netflix. Now, Paramount had a hot property on their hands, and in 2014 decided to release Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not to be confused with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 is a new live-action film from producer Michael Bay, not director, but producer, and it was trying to follow up on what the Transformers movies had done, and it wasn't as successful. This movie saw the Turtles return as large, very intimidating, and sometimes terrifying, large CGI motion captured characters. This was intended to start a new revolution of films. Once again, going for the PG-13 crowd, whereas the show was going for the PG crowd, even though it ended up going to like the TV-14 crowd by the end. It gets pretty grisly in that 2012 show that was supposed to be the kid show, and this is almost tame in comparison. This movie went through a huge production history that was full of a mess, but the ultimate final product was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2014. It was successful enough to spawn a sequel in 2016, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. And I don't need to say much else about the future of the sub-franchise, but the fact that I went opening weekend to see Out of the Shadows, and me and my parents were the only people in the theater on a Sunday matinee. This was the last Paramount-produced live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. And maybe it's best for that in the end. Both movies are available on 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, and Paramount Plus. They're pretty easy to find, being modern films. Looking to expand the market of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Paramount released the Half-Shell Heroes Blast to the Past special. It's sort of based on the 2012 series, sharing voice actors, but it is actually based on the 2012 series spin-off toy line for preschoolers called Half-Shell Heroes. So I don't really include it with the 2012 stuff, and I'm including it here just to, I don't know where else to put it. But it was a special. It was released direct to DVD, and as far as I know, you can't stream it anywhere either, so it's just a DVD thing. It's kind of fun. Kate Mulgrew plays the Triceraton, so there's that. It was seemingly supposed to be, I think, the start of some direct-to-video movies, but it ended up just being a one-off. Then in 2019, Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released direct-to-video and streaming and digital, where it's still available, and it was a crossover between Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. New incarnations of both, but it was based on the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics that were very successful, and this movie is amazing. If you haven't seen this, I recommend this. This was definitely a nice contrast for Turtles fans looking for something aimed a little older. Definitely a PG-13 movie, and had some really cool stuff in it. I really enjoyed this, and sadly we didn't get any more movies, but we did get more comics, which was kind of nice. Before we get to the next segment, I do want to say that Ninja Turtles always benefits from some gaps. See, Next Mutation came just a year after the original cartoon ended, and it wasn't super successful. But then the 2003 series came 6 years after Next Mutation, so it was more successful. And then there was a 3-year gap between the end of that show and the start of the 2012 Ninja Turtles series. Well, Paramount decided that after ending the 2012 series, they were going to jump right into a new show with Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, premiering less than a year after Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the 2012 show had ended. And a lot of fans were like, nope, I'm out. I was one of them. But I became a true believer later watching the show and realizing that it was a very unique take on the Turtles, very exciting and very well done. It just came a little too soon, I think, for everybody, including the toy shelves. The toy line didn't sell well, which has caused the show not to do well either, which is a shame because this was a really clever series. I will say the switch to 11-minute episodes as opposed to 22-minute episodes that had been the standard for Turtles was a little bit odd, and there were some growing pains in the early parts of the seasons. But as this first season progresses, and especially into season 2, the show is very, very, very good. And especially when you get to some of the later fight scenes, it's some of the most top-notch action we've ever seen in the Turtles franchise. And the episodes were aired pretty much out of order, so 2018, season 1, lasting 26 episodes. This is the proper production order. I looked this up. If you don't follow production order on this and follow what the order is on streaming, you're going to get some weird continuity gaffes. I know this because I watched it on streaming and got some weird continuity gaffes. This series had a lot of really cool episodes. There's a lot of multi-parters in here and a lot of build-up to things over an extended period of time. In 2019, the show had a season 2 lasting for 13 episodes, and this was relegated to premiere on Nicktoons, which is when everyone knew the show was dead. Nicktoons is the channel where things go to die. It sucks that that's the case, but that's just how it ended up going. And the series did end in a spectacular series finale that is one of my favorite Ninja Turtles episodes of all time. But not to be outdone, in 2019, there was also 6 shorts uploaded to the Ninja Turtles YouTube channel. Those are still available and pretty easy to find. They're a fun little watch if you enjoyed the series. And in 2022, a Netflix exclusive movie debuted, which was a pretty awesome way to kind of cap off Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and just give them one big cataclysmic sort of world-ending event to fight, and I think it was a terrific time, and it wrapped up some storylines that were sort of missing from before. If you're looking to watch the series, the entire thing is on Paramount Plus. Netflix has season 1 and the movie, and the shorts are on YouTube. There are a couple volume DVD releases, but they barely scratched the first season. Sadly, we have not seen a complete set on disc to date. Now, while it may have only come a year after the Rise of the TMNT movie, it came 4 years after the end of Rise of the TMNT, and that is the next iteration of Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This was a theatrically released animated film and was a pretty good success, all things considered, in a very weird year for the box office. Definitely made its money back and has spawned a new iteration of the franchise. This film sees the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles played by teenagers, which is great. They not only act like teenagers, they're played by teenagers, and I think that's super duper fun. The animation style is unique and visually interesting, and it's got a lot of cool ideas. And the coolest part about this is it isn't just a movie we have to wait several years for the sequel on, even though a sequel is planned for 2026. But this year, in fact, we got Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was a 12-episode series chronicling the adventures of the Turtles after the end of Mutant Mayhem, leading into events that will possibly happen in the sequel. And that is such a great idea. It keeps the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing over time. It allows the actors to grow with the characters without having to wait years between productions. And hopefully this series does get a second season. It was originally announced as having 2 seasons, but Paramount's shaky financials have led even the showrunner of the series to question, are we going to get a season 2? We're not quite sure. But hopefully it does get to continue, because I think this idea works really well. Have a movie, have a couple seasons of a show, have another movie. Really cool continuity filling. Finding Mutant Mayhem itself, pretty easy. 4K Blu-ray DVD streaming on Paramount Plus, and Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus currently. This is the newest iteration of Ninja Turtles, and that it reaches the end of our guide, but I gotta say, it's really fun having Turtles once again, having a new series, something to continue and pick us up and keep us moving forward. So that does it for my viewing guide of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I hope you learned something, hope this was helpful. I hope the episode order corrections is helpful as well. Sometimes when watching these shows, you're like, wait, that hasn't happened yet, or that happened way long ago, why are we following it up here? And hey, that's why we got production codes, right? Try to keep things in order. And I'm always curious to see the next iteration of Ninja Turtles. I hope that the Mutant Mayhem universe gets to continue for a while, because I think it's fresh and exciting, and it's brought a lot of kids into the franchise, which is kind of the coolest part about Ninja Turtles. You don't have to like all of it, but at least some iteration of Ninja Turtles will probably appeal to you, and it usually is the one you grew up with, because that's just kind of how it goes. But honestly, I think it's just super fun that there's so many different iterations of Ninja Turtles and so many different versions, and it's so multi-generational. It really is such a unique and cool thing to have. But on that note, I hope you did enjoy this. If you did, please hit the like button if you haven't already, hit subscribe notification bell if you haven't already, and hit the comments down below. Ask me any questions, comments, concerns, anything I may have gotten wrong, that sort of stuff. I'm not perfect, and I don't try to be, so just give me some feedback if I messed up anything in my phrasing. Also, be sure to join our Discord server in the link below. There's also a cool guides and checklists section if you want more written guides as opposed to just video stuff. You can check that out in the link below. You can also come join our live streams every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern here on this YouTube channel. We discuss Ninja Turtles news and comics and toys and all kinds of fun stuff. So come hang out every Monday. If you'd like to help support the channel directly and to fund more videos like this, doing these watch guides takes a lot of time. Join as a channel member. You can get perks like early access to videos, special member exclusive live streams, and special shout outs. So let's get some shout outs to our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Spin-54, Toma K, Master Ben 95, Jamie's World, Jack Move Johnny, Yukio Sayuki, Michael Flores, Steele, Aaron, Rabbitman, Shigs, Jess Hood, Vigo, Common Pikachu, Geets, Andy Stutz, Joy-Con Girl, Dazagno, and Ben Odinson. Thank you all for your support of this channel. You can also find me across most social media platforms if you wish at Soundout12. You can also find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaws643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for entertainment, news, reviews, interviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Cowabunga!